I
Uh-huh.
hated getting my last mortgage.
Uh-huh.
I stopped having sex with my partner. I was so stressed. I couldn't sleep. And so we
Uh-huh.
said, well, why don't we manifest those stresses? Because every other ad
Right.
about getting a mortgage in the UK is
Mm-hmm.
about it's really easy, it's really happy, here's a
Mm-hmm.
happy home. But the reality of what people were experiencing was very different. So we actually killed people on air. So I got someone buying a house who was so stressed he started to drown in his own sweat and then was eaten by piranhas. And so people could go, "Oh yeah, these guys get that this experience is
Yeah.
terrible."
Why don't we start with like a very brief introduction of who Abba is? I mean, the Abba that we know, the brand, but who Abba Newbery is. Like a just where it all started. How are you, a CMO now? I mean, that's a crazy journey I can see. You started like working in 1990s or something. So I'm very interested in all of that. Why don't you start with like a very brief introduction and then we like, touch base upon all of that.
Okay, cool. Well, so I'm Abba. As you say, Raksham, I began my career in advertising agencies in the early 90s
Uh-huh.
or mid 90s, where you got to spend lots of money making big, incredible TV ads and cinema ads and poster ads. And I was incredibly lucky to work on some of the biggest brands in the world. So brands like Guinness, L'Oreal, Microsoft, MasterCard. So had a really amazing career in advertising agencies.
Uh-huh.
I ended up taking a job working for Rupert Murdoch, obviously who owns News Corporation, and started by running his in-house advertising agency, and then moved to basically be his chief strategy officer, and did a lot of M&A, mergers and acquisitions work
Hmm.
for him. And I guess in the next boom of the FANG type businesses.
Sure.
I then had a kid,
Uh-huh.
hung out a bit at home, realised I was really bad at doing that. I'm not saying I'm a bad mum, but I get bored easily. So ended up taking consultancy roles. So I worked on the Google Accelerator program, where obviously they're investing in the kind of the next phase of businesses. And my job there was to be what they call a dragon slayer. So they might hire the team, but not necessarily believe in the business model. So my job was to help them do the business model. And then I also spent a long time working at YouTube, where I effectively helped people monetize their subscriber bases by not
Okay.
expecting it just to come from advertising revenue, but to come from merchandising or other things. Ended up making a TV program that actually ran on Channel 4 in the UK, which is pretty cool. And those contacts led me into the world of fintech, um,
Hmm.
where I've been hanging out really for the last, I'm going to say, 8 years.
Okay.
I've done mortgages, I've done impact investments, so investing in the stock market for the good of the world. And currently,
I'm so sorry to cut you off, but that's a very interesting part. What is impact investing again? Let me rephrase that. So while you were talking about it, you mentioned impact investing. Can you elaborate a little more about that?
so I guess impact investing is where you're actually evaluating whether the company that you're investing in is a good company, not just financially viable, but is also doing good for the world
Okay.
in a way that's not impacting the world.
Okay.
So, for example, let me give you a good example. In my previous business, we would not have included Tesla in our
Okay.
funds
Uh-huh.
because the impact that Tesla makes on the world, both physically with
Hmm.
lithium
Hmm.
mining, etc.,
Yeah. Yeah.
but also how they run themselves as a business, how they treat their team,
Right.
etc., etc. They would not have made the grade.
Got it.
But
Got it.
Duolingo, for example, if you know Duolingo,
Yeah, I
that
know
was one of our
Duolingo.
like
Yeah.
star stock, great for the world, genuinely helping people move between countries.
Uh-huh.
And at the start of the Ukrainian war, they made anyone learning Ukrainian or English completely free. Yeah, so if that explains it. And then I'm at Insignis now, and we do cash management. So we help people manage their cash reserves, and we work with high net worth individuals. So the average deposit size in UK pounds would be about £500,000. So we're
Okay.
working with high net worth individuals. We work a lot with professional sports people, musicians, as well as
Mm-hmm.
people who've successfully sold their business, et cetera, et cetera. And in my mortgage business, I
Mm-hmm.
actually put our Series B fundraise into Insignis, where I am now. So kind of knew the business as
Oh,
well
oh, okay.
from
Okay.
actually having used it, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
yes, that's me. So a strange career from advertising agencies to corporate strategy to now being a
Mm-hmm.
CMO, with a bit of startup VC type work in the
Yeah.
meantime.
That's crazy. I mean, I see the link. I mean, somehow we started as a advertising agency as well. Now we are into content and we produce a lot of content, and we end up working with a lot of fintech. I don't know what's there with agencies and fintech. Somehow, majority of our clients right now is fintech. I don't know how,
Okay, nice.
but yeah. But yeah, I mean, I would like to understand more about what Insignis do and what you do with Insignis. So you said you guys do manage or help investing the cash reserves for HNIs, right? High net individuals. But I think somewhere on the website I've also seen that you guys do that for religious organizations as well, and everything, and I think in NGOs as well. So, how do you guys actually do it? How do you guys actually, go about saying, what, hey, you have this cash lying around, and assuming they would want that cash someday, so it has to be some safer options. What would be like the top options that you might go to with them? I mean, go to them with, yeah.
So it's no stocks. It's
Okay.
just purely investing in the Bank of England interest rate.
Okay. Okay.
And yes, we work a lot with religious organizations, churches, synagogues, etc. We work with charities,
Hmm.
and we work with schools. All those businesses tend to have um, high levels of cash, as you say, because they need them. That cash tends to be cyclical, and it tends to come in at the beginning of the year. They get a
Right.
subsidy, they get something, and so they invest that cash with us and then draw down on it. Um, so I guess if I'm being specific about the UK market, if you're investing in a normal bank, you're probably
Uh-huh.
getting between 1% and 2% interest. If you're investing with Insignis, you're
Uh-huh.
probably getting at least 4%,
Okay.
which is quite meaningful
Yeah.
for these businesses. It often means they can hire two, three more members of staff onto the team,
Yeah.
etc. So yeah, it's a very easy process.
Hmm.
And you can kind of manage it all through the platform, withdraw the money whenever you need it.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's quite interesting, and not a lot of people think about those
Right.
businesses.
Interesting. Interesting. I mean, I never knew schools have a lot of cash lying around. I mean, that's the first time I heard that.
Yes, of
Do-
course. I mean, obviously we work with the private school system in the UK, but
Uh-huh.
also the state school system. So they get the UK government funds
Uh-huh.
UK free schools, and they get their money at the beginning of the year, and then they spend it over the course of the year. And so
Okay.
what happens is they tend to invest with us in the beginning of September,
Uh-huh.
and then draw down that money over the course of the year, and then the money comes back in the next September.
Interesting. Interesting. I mean, okay. I think I understand what Insignis does, right? The reason, one of the major reasons that I wanted you to be on the podcast is we try to get a lot of value from the people who are actually doing stuff, right? Who are actually in the market, like solving problems or, building brands and all of that, right? Um, and I think a lot of audience would be, very interested in knowing how does a fintech CMO thinks about marketing and branding and all of that. Especially in a space like finance, which is like very pretty dry and like boring sort of a branding. How do you stand out on the marketing side of Insignis, or how do you actually work on building a brand that people can trust or invest with, and all of that? Would love to understand your points in there.
Yeah, interesting. So I guess I learned a lot of what I do now when I was working at Habito, which is
Okay.
a mortgage brand in the UK, which became very famous
Uh-huh.
for the advertising that we did.
Okay.
Um, and I'm a great devotee of the book Predictably Irrational.
Predictably
Oh,
irrational. Let me write that
pre-
down.
predictably irrational, and it espouses that the bigger the financial decision we make,
Uh-huh.
the less rational we are, the more emotional we are. So when you're going to the supermarket and you're looking at buying 2 cans of soup, you're being quite rational about those 2 cans of soup. You're looking at the
Right.
price, you're looking at the flavors,
Yep.
you're thinking about how many people in your family you're going to feed.
Right. Right.
And I spent a long time working in FMCG, so it's not like FMCG don't build brands, but
Yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah.
but the bigger the financial decision, yeah, the more emotional you are. So I did quite a lot of research when I was working at Habito, which is mortgages, so buying and selling houses.
Uh-huh.
And one of the most interesting things for me is when people talk about buying a house, one of the overriding factors in the UK anyway is where they're going to put the Christmas tree, which is
Right.
ridiculous, right? It's absolutely ridiculous. They haven't done a projection curve on how much
Yeah.
they think the house is going to be worth in 5 years' time. They may have done a bit of research into whether there's a
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
school in the area, but it just
Uh-huh.
tends to be that you get a feeling and
Right.
you buy the house on the feeling. And
Right.
so um, I've kind of espoused that for a long time now,
Uh-huh.
and that actually really emotionally engaging advertising in
Uh-huh.
financial services that can then be
Uh-huh.
backed up with all the good rational
Uh-huh.
stuff is actually what makes the difference. And when I joined Habito back in, gosh, when 2015, it was
Uh-huh.
peak fintech in the UK. Everyone was throwing money at fintech brands. We were growing incredibly fast. We were in a kind of trajectory along with Monzo and Revolut and all of those kind of brands in that pack that ended up being successful chose to take the emotional route. Everyone else was just showing a picture of their phone with their app on it,
Yeah.
going, we're good. And that just doesn't work,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you run
Yeah.
an advertising agency, it just doesn't work.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly. I mean, that's you're very on point. I mean, this is one of the things I learned very early. I come from a sales background as well, sales and marketing background. So one thing I figured is a majority of the time, buying would be an emotional decision. Yes, there is going to be logic. Yes, there's going to be all the numbers and all the rationale that people look at. At the end of the day, people spend money for the feeling of it. You know, like buying a house, as you said, right? Buying a house from a finance perspective, I'm not sure about the UK market, but in India, buying a house early in your career does not make sense because the rental yields is pretty low here in India. So it's always like a good thing to just rent it out, and if you have that corpus, invest it somewhere, and you get incredible returns. The problem is house is a very emotional place for somebody, right? Where yes, there's money, yes, there is not going to be a lot of return, yes, you'll be using to that money to just stay in there, and you'll have payments and EMIs and all of that, but at the end of the day you call it your house, right? And that's definitely when, especially when it comes to bigger investment, bigger purchases, I think emotion is why people buy it, right? Um, that being said, do you, from a perspective of marketing itself, uh, do you think you're seeing more people doing what needs to be done to trigger that emotional, trigger? Or is it like more on the logical and hey, this is how why you should be, investing with us, or let's stick to fintech if you want.
I mean, I think there's some brands doing a great job. Monzo would
Uh-huh.
be one
Uh-huh.
of them in the UK and the US for sure. But I think marketing remains in this arm wrestle between finance and um, and kind of creativity. And I think there's always a struggle between performance marketing and brand marketing. And performance marketing is ultimately short term, and brand marketing is ultimately long term. And so if you don't invest enough in brand and in building something distinctive,
Hmm.
then ultimately you're going to run out of road.
Right.
Um,
100%.
and
I
so we
think
certainly found that at Insignis and at Habito, which is the more you invest in brand creatively, the bigger the pool of customers you have to talk to, so therefore the
right.
more effective your performance marketing is. Whereas I think a CFO can say, well, I know if I give Abba £1 million and I know
Hmm.
our CAC is going to be, our customer acquisition cost is going to be £200, I know I'm going to get out of that. But
100%.
my approach is always, but what if I could make the customer acquisition cost £25?
Right.
And those are the conversations that I have in my
Yeah.
businesses, which says
Yeah.
you get you can have stasis, or you
Hmm.
can have something that's truly going to, put the business on a rocket ship.
You're speaking my language. I mean, I have to agree with to this 100%, and I keep talking about this. So I spent like 4 or 5 years, 3 to 4 years in performance marketing, Meta ads, Google ads, all of that. When I pivoted from performance marketing or performance ads to content, this was a very large question that I keep getting every single time, and people are like, "Why did you switch? Why did you like pivot from performance to actually creating content and stuff?" And I said, I figured something that companies are not looking at as much. Y- Uh, a performance marketing ad is a very fast, rewarding campaign, or the way you want to spend money. It's a very fast and rewarding, but it's also short term. The minute you stop your ad spend, you're not getting anything. It's done, right? It's the till the time you have your pedal on the gas pedal on, it's gonna go. The minute you stop, it's not gonna go anywhere. But if you are into branding or content, or creating a brand from scratch, building sustainable audience and a credible audience that is loyal to you, or they think about you from a respect perspective, or hey, this guy or this company is actually trying to help, or actually trying to provide some value, they are going to stick with you. They're going to stick with you for a long term. And at a point where uh, no matter what you are creating or what you're selling, they will buy it just for the credibility that they have with you and the trust that they have with you. saying, you know what, I trust these people. Even there are 100 brands, selling it to me, I would still go and like buy from them. And the only problem with that is it's not very short term. It's not quick. You can't just start doing content tomorrow and expect results in a day or two. It takes time. It takes a little bit of time. So I think the best of sort of strategy is mixing both of them. Would you agree with that?
Yes, branding does and content does take time.
Right.
And so, although Habito and Insignis too, it may have taken us time to create it.
Yeah.
Once we put it out into the world,
Uh-huh.
its impact was pretty instant. So I think
Uh-huh.
you've got to, it's like anything, you've got to do your prep, you've got to get it right, you've got to do the customer research, and you've also got to take a leap of faith, work with great people, agencies, content creators, who really understand the target audience or the ideal customer persona that you're um, trying to engage with.
Uh-huh.
So our Insignis work, we actually did through AI, we did through Midjourney,
Mm-hmm.
but it took us 3 weeks to
Uh-huh.
get the prompts right
Yeah.
to create the work that we wanted.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah. And then, of course, as soon as we put it out there in the world,
Mm-hmm.
the business started to roll in. I mean, we're on a long buying cycle. We may speak to somebody, and then it will take 12 months for them to make a decision.
12-month cycle. Mm.
Yeah, sometimes just because it's not top of their list, sometimes because they're
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
companies have like governance and board meetings
Yeah.
and all of that kind of stuff. But even given that kind of 12 to 18-month buying cycle, we still saw an instant impact from
Uh-huh.
the brand work.
Interesting. Let's talk about that campaign. I don't think I know. Can you speak about it if you're okay with that? What was the
Uh,
campaign? What was the pain that you were trying to solve for? What was the goal? All of that.
yeah, I mean, I guess so. If you're rich, as our target audience is, all of them, or their businesses are well funded, and
Uh-huh.
you don't necessarily think that a bank is going to go bust.
Right. Right.
But banks go bust all the
We've seen.
time.
Yep.
And in the UK, we effectively have an insurance protection that says for every £85,000 you put in a single bank, that
Hmm.
money's protected. That's money is
Protected. Yeah.
insured.
Yep.
So
Yep.
each
Yep.
time you have some more money, you need to open a new bank account. So what Insignis
Oh
does is
yeah.
open one bank account for you, and then you can diversify all your money.
Okay.
Um, but it's not top of people's list. They're not going to bed at night and sweating and worrying about a bank
Yeah.
um,
Going bust tomorrow. Yeah. I get it.
going bust. So what we chose to do is demonstrate the perils of sitting on your cash and not doing something with it. And those perils are either losing money because you're not getting enough interest, or they're not being protected should a bank
Okay.
should a bank go bust. So we chose to make the world's most dangerous chair, which was made of cash.
Okay.
But one of them was made of spikes and cash. Think a bit Game of
Okay.
Thrones. One of
Uh-huh.
them was made of snakes and
Uh-huh.
cash, which is a
Uh-huh.
deep-rooted fear of a lot of people. And
Uh-huh.
one of them was made of snapping giant jaws and cash, to help kind of people jolt into the reality that if you
Uh-huh.
don't do something with your cash, you
Mm-hmm.
really are sitting perilously on it. And we
Right.
actually physically made the chair. And
Oh,
each
you
one of the
did.
chairs we physically made. So the chair is real. When we go
Uh-huh.
to conferences and we go and speak to our
You take that chair?
network. We take our chair. We affectionately call him Predator. He's got beautiful giant teeth. Um, but part of it was like you basically, like with anything, just tapping on FOMO. Like if you're
Yeah.
sitting on this stuff,
Yep.
just don't. It's going to take you 5 minutes to do something about it. So, and because of the level of inertia in the market, we needed to do something quite
Right.
radical, quite provocative, quite
Yep. 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 Yep.
scary. Um, so yeah, that's what we did, and it was great fun.
Uh-huh. Is there like a video or something that I can watch?
Is there a video or something you can watch? I don't think there is. You can see the chair
There's,
on the website if you go on to.
there should be a video on it. I mean,
I know there should be.
yeah.
There
What
should
do
be a
I? What do
video.
I? Okay, I think
So if you
Ignis.
go to insigniscash.com, you should be able to see the chair on the home screen.
Oh, this chair. Okay. You did not make this one. This is not the actual one. Like the physical one that you guys created.
The Spike one, the Game of Thrones one we didn't make. We made the Predator chair, which is the chair with the teeth. Uh
Interesting. The
just because
one.
the Predator chair, the Spike chair was going to be too difficult to transport
Yeah. Yeah.
around, and we were never going to get through anyone's health and safety team.
Yep. Also compliances and all. You like physically carrying a weapon, sort of. Interesting. This is the picture that I see on the website on the homepage. That's the actual Predator chair. That's Predator, and that's physical. Crazy. There should be definitely a video on this. I would highly recommend. Yeah. Coming back to the campaign itself. Uh, from a CMO perspective, I mean, I'm assuming a lot of watchers that we have are a lot of aspiring marketers as well, yeah? A lot of aspiring business owners, marketers, and all of that. Coming from a CMO, I would like to understand what do you think is like a hardest part of launching like a big campaign? Is it the idea? Is it the budget? Or is it like the actual execution or the day-to-day execution of it? What do you think?
I think the hardest thing
Mhm.
is selling this kind of investment, and it doesn't need to be a lot of money, but it's the
Yeah, yeah.
investment in a message rather than uh projection of the message.
Right, right.
um
Yeah.
I think is really hard. I
Hmm.
do.
Selling internally, you're
And
talking about, right?
I'm just saying we're going to
Yeah.
do something with the brand. It's going to be amazing. It needs to be distinctive.
Right.
You're going to feel really uncomfortable because
Uh-huh.
it's not a message that says we've got a platform that helps you diverse. No, it's like it's a big scary chair.
Yeah.
Um, at Habito, we did the same thing. People would say to me in consumer interviews, "Oh, I
Uh-huh.
hated getting my last mortgage.
Uh-huh.
I stopped having sex with my partner. I was so stressed. I couldn't sleep." And so we
Uh-huh.
said, well, why don't we manifest those stresses? Because every other ad
Right.
about getting a mortgage in the UK is
Hmm.
about it's really easy, it's really happy, here's a happy home. But the reality of what people were experiencing was very different. So we actually killed people on air. So I got someone buying a house who was so stressed he started to drown in his own sweat and then was eaten by piranhas.
Oh my God.
And so people could go, oh yeah, these guys get that this experience is
Yeah.
terrible, a bit like doing your tax
Right.
return or really any financial admin. No one wants to do it, right?
Uh-huh.
So I think that's the hardest bit. And the other bit that
Uh-huh.
I think is hard is everybody in the world experiences marketing or advertising or
Right.
branding, right? And that means everyone believes that they're qualified to have a view.
Okay. Okay.
So I don't get to sit with the CFO and basically go through the business plan and go, buddy, I'm not sure about your spreadsheet. Whereas the CFO does get to go to me, I've got an idea
Right.
for an ad.
Uh-huh.
And so I think those two things are the hardest things. A, just selling it in, and B, not listening
Right.
to all the opinions, or being open-minded enough to listen to all of those opinions and pick pick the ones that you think are important, because most of what you're going to hear is nonsense. And back in the day when I worked in advertising agencies, the same was true with working with creative directors. Every time I, see a script coming through from my creative team, it would start with, "We open on a Caribbean island," because they wanted to go overseas somewhere nice and make an ad. Like, no, we're not going to a Caribbean island. Sorry, guys.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. I mean, yeah, obviously, you can't, go to Caribbean island. I get it. Um, from this creative perspective, right? I see you are very creative by your own. Give me a second. I think the recording has stopped somehow. Um, the recording
Yeah,
has stopped, I believe. I can't.
you've
Yeah,
gone
yeah,
blurry. See,
yeah. I've gone blurry. Yeah, I think I'm back now. Perfect.
you're back.
Um, so from that perspective, what what you just said, I think you go very crazy on creativity and like triggering emotions, right? And that's wonderful. I think that's one of the key part a marketer should have. I want to understand how much of this or comes from your experience with working with creators, or when you were at YouTube, working with creators. I mean, a B2C, I mean, what, from a creative perspective of a I'm sorry, let me repeat that. What a creator can do, or the creative approach that they have, and, all the things that they, actually create. B2B branding, B2B is very different market from that, right? So how do you apply what you learned from your time working with the creators to actually utilizing that in a B2B market? I'd love to understand that.
Yeah, I mean, I think what really, when I was working at YouTube, the what really stood out to me is the really successful creators really, really understand their audience. They're not
Okay.
trying to go for everyone. They're trying to, um, they're making content for a very clear group of people. Often in the case of creators at YouTube, it was people who were like them, looked like them,
Yeah. Yeah.
were like them, but they really understood their target audience. And I'm talking, I did everything from people who were unboxing toys, to reviewing chicken
Mm,
chops.
uh-huh.
But they really understood the language they used, um, and the way that they presented the content was bang on for their audience. And that's
Mm-hmm.
exactly the
Mm-hmm.
same is true of marketing, any kind of marketing. And I think the biggest mistake that B2B make, and I'm in B2B right now, so
Yeah.
I see it all the time, is to think that we become suddenly more rational in our business lives. We
Yep.
actually don't.
Yep.
And so all of the principles for great B2C marketing are also the same for great B2B marketing. It's just that everyone just starts talking about their own product and their own business. And I
Yep.
always think about it, and you're going to think I'm crazy, but I always think about it like dating.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I've been married for 20 years, so I have very low levels of dating understanding anymore. But if you
Yeah.
go on a date and you only talk about yourself and you never
Not
ask
gonna
anyone
work.
any questions,
Oh, not gonna work.
um, then it's not going to work.
Not
And
gonna
there's a
work. Yeah.
very old adage in the
Mm-hmm.
UK, which I always think about, which is, "Don't tell me you're funny, make me
Mm-hmm.
laugh."
Right. Right.
And that's
Right.
how I try and approach
Uh-huh.
marketing. And so as soon as I'm talking about myself, I know or the business I'm
Right.
working in, I know it's gone horribly wrong.
Yep. I mean, My God, you're so on point here. I mean, and I've been advocate of this. So some of my time, I think I've spent some time in B2B SaaS businesses, right? Somehow, the whole team, specifically the founders, they think B2B is very different from B2C, where you're selling to a business, but you don't understand the business is run by a human as well. It's not a, and it's not a, it's an entity 100%, but then behind those, there are humans, there are people, right? They are going to buy emotionally as well. Their emotions are going to trigger by the problems they're facing on a day-to-day basis, that's for sure. And what their targets are, what their goals are, and how your products is going to help them. But understanding their pain point has become, I don't know, they don't talk about it as much. And I had this conversation with a couple of founders in B2B SaaS market. I remember this one time we were hosting a webinar for them, right? And the idea of webinar came from us and saying, you know what, we need more people talking about their problems, their issues to us. Let's host a webinar where we give them something that can solve their problem, give some sort of value and all of that, right? 10 minutes into the webinar, the founder comes in and he was supposed to do like the whole webinar. 10 minutes in, uh he finishes all the things that we spoke about, and this is what this is how you should be adding value, these are all the talking points. He covered everything in like 5 to 8 minutes and jumped directly to his own product, and started showing as a demo. Give me 1 second. Am I back online? Am
Yes.
I back online? Yeah, and he started showing his product demo, and that webinar got converted into in a product demo. And that's the last thing you should be doing on a webinar. A webinar is something for them, right? Not for you. Keep talking about your product, how it's so amazing, how it's going to solve your problem. It's not going to help. They know it's selling. I think the best kind of selling is not selling at all. I
I
mean, if
totally, yeah,
I
I
know, right?
totally agree.
Yeah.
The best campaign I've ever seen, or the best thing I've ever seen
Uh
in
huh.
my career, long time ago, actually, in the days
Uh huh.
when digital advertising was really ramping up. And I was working, one of my biggest clients was Intel, the
Okay.
now overtaken by NVIDIA
Yeah, 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 yeah.
processing chip.
Uh-huh.
And we were invited out to Google HQ
Uh-huh.
in Mountain View,
Uh-huh.
and to talk about digital advertising and search and the role of that for the business. And what the marketing team at Google did was they gave my all my Intel marketing team, they gave them a Google branded Rubik's cube. The
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And at that point in time, it was like they'd actually bestowed on my clients an engineering degree.
Uh-huh.
And all those clients were earning lots of money, and they'd be given like a sort of £10 gift.
Yep, yep, yep.
Oh, it was like, and they would have gone home and showed it to their kids, and
Yeah.
put it on the coffee table so people could see it
Yep.
when they came in. And I copied that idea a few years later again for Intel,
Uh-huh.
because the IT department, right? They have to buy the computers for everyone, right?
Okay.
But no one likes the IT department, right?
Uh-huh.
Because you
No,
have to
what
go
does? Yeah,
there
yeah,
because your
yeah, yeah,
computer's
yeah, yeah.
broken or your password, like something's gone wrong. So you
Yep,
go there,
yep.
and it's always a reasonably miserable experience. You go there quite stressed. They normally fix it
Yeah.
for you, but you don't want to go.
Yeah.
So all
Yeah.
I did was give every IT department in the UK a massive jar of sweets so that when
Okay.
someone went with their broken computer to
Oh,
the IT department,
the
they
handover is
got a little
sweet.
cup full of sweets, and it made the whole experience slightly less miserable. At no point
Yeah.
did I say my chips are like 6x faster. They have X amount more processing power. No, power of a big jar of sweets. So I agree
Yeah.
with you totally. It's the human beings and understanding, as you say, their pain points and what they need.
Right. Right.
Um, and the pain point of an IT department is they're not popular.
Yep.
No one cares that they got a chip with faster
Yeah.
processing power,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They
100%.
like the sweets.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, I might steal that idea as well.
Yeah, no,
Honestly.
go for it. But it's like it's understanding that. It's like
Uh,
how can you make your customers happier?
Happier, yeah. It's not about spending shit ton of money. It's about understanding the exact pain point and solving it. 100%. I mean, that's golden words. um, now, I and we being a marketers, right? We being marketers, we understand all of this. I've figured the CXOs of the companies, right, especially the CEOs and CFOs, they don't exactly understand this. And one of the things that I wanted to like try, a little bit earlier was personal branding for the CXOs. I personally believe putting a face or a human face on top of a brand makes it more human, right? And I think it just increases companies' trust as well. I want to understand your thoughts. So what are your thoughts on that? Do you think personal branding can take over or can perform better than, a company's brand? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really interesting question. I mean, obviously, in the B2B world, right, the LinkedIn algorithm is always going to favor a person over a company page. That said, I think it needs to be like authentic and actually what that CEO or CXO wants to do. Um, and I think that's the really hard part because they've got a whole other job to do, which is running the company. So, there's
Yeah.
some great examples of CEOs
Uh-huh.
um, who do it really well. Um, Bill Gates being an example of someone who
Yeah. Yeah.
really engages in this. But I don't think it's for all the CEOs. My CEO now, no, 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 it's not in his um DNA. Um, and my CEO at Habito, not
Uh-huh.
really
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
either. And my previous founders at Circa, um, I had to have a really uncomfortable conversation with them, which is they had this podcast that they used to do every week.
Uh-huh.
Um, it was really unsuccessful. No one listened to it. They really liked doing it.
Uh-huh.
They really enjoyed it, and then yeah, we had a little studio, and they'd take time doing their script, and
Uh-huh.
they themselves were having a lovely time doing it. No one else in the world cared. And that's also the hard part where you go, like your example of your CEO on a webinar. No one cares about what you're talking about. And someone years ago gave me a really good piece of advice about working with entrepreneurs. So they did
Mm-hmm.
a neuroscience studies. They literally wired up people's brains, and they looked at an entrepreneur CEO, so founder CEO, looking at their child,
Mm-hmm.
and their founder CEO looking at their logo or website. The synapses in the brain, the pattern in the brain
Mm-hmm.
was almost exactly the same. So they were looking at their brand and business in the same sort of emotional way that they were looking at their child.
Right.
And that's the
Right.
hard part because effectively, as a CMO, at some point you're going to have to go in and say, your child is really ugly and we're going to have to do something about it.
Oh my God, that's the golden words. Oh my God. I wish I could do that.
Do you know what I mean? It's really hard
Yeah,
because you're basically saying
100%.
all this stuff that you're talking about as spam.
Yeah,
No one,
yeah.
no
We
one
can fix
cares.
it. We can fix it, but
So just stop for
exactly.
a moment.
Oh my God, yeah. I think that the love, the passion towards one's brand or one's company is sometimes becomes the hurdle as well. And I have as n number of examples for this. Oh my God, I know a lot of founders, CEOs, and I know that baby is ugly. This it sucks, but can't
But
say that on
equally,
their face.
yeah, I've worked with businesses before, big,
Uh-huh.
corporate businesses, and you're like,
Uh-huh.
why are we sponsoring a Formula One team? And they're like, oh, because the CEO really likes Formula One. You're like, great,
Mhm.
that's going to work.
Oh
So,
my God, yeah.
it's true. It can be true in any size of business.
100%. Oh my God, crazy. I mean, no, I think I love that. Love that conversation. I think you're absolutely bang on. From a marketing team, what's the biggest sort of number of people that you have led in under marketing? What would you say?
Probably 100.
In marketing? It's huge. Okay. So this question is gonna work absolutely bang on then. So my I want to understand your thoughts. I mean, there can be different opinions on this particular question, but I just want to understand your thought or your philosophy when it comes to building a marketing team. Do you think there should be a in-house specialist team? There should be, everything should be done in-house or versus a external agency or external partners? I'm assuming there are pros and cons to both of them. Let's discuss that. What do you think are pros and cons, and what do you think is, is your choice, or what do you think about that?
That's such a good question, and I think it's really hard to sort of have a general answer. I personally believe that performance marketing, where possible, should be kept in-house. Because I think, and I'm a great believer in, I guess, the new emerging skill set, which is product marketing.
Hmm.
So I do believe that sort of any kind of growth or performance team that you
Uh,
have should be
uh,
sat alongside
yeah, yeah,
engineering, product
yep,
design, data.
right.
And I think that makes them better, because they've got the people around them and you're living and breathing
Them,
data.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
there's notable exceptions, but I don't think in-house marketing teams make great ads, if I'm honest.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Um, and so I do tend to lean on agencies for that.
Okay, okay.
AI is very interesting in this space now because
100%. Yeah.
I think a lot of what you might have had in-house marketing designers to do, in-house writers to do, if you're using AI in the right way, you can streamline a lot of that, um, a lot of that stuff. And with things like PR and comms, I think it comes down to either the person that you hire has a big
Uh-huh.
black book of contacts and can call people
Yep,
and
yep, yep,
be influential, or you need to
yeah.
use an agency to do that. I think in the world of performance marketing as well, AI is very interesting now because you can effectively do your bidding strategy through AI, which is why I'm saying your performance teams are going to be less about kind of bidding strategies and
Uh-huh.
more around innovation, data, and better product conversion, if that makes
Yeah, yeah, that makes
any
complete
sense.
sense. No. Yeah, 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 100%. I how are you guys implementing AI in the tech? I mean, I know it's pretty new, right? And sometimes it sucks, to be very honest. Um, but how are you looking at AI as a, because it's a talk of the town. Everybody's talking about it. Some are skeptics, some are embracing it, some still think it's not there yet and something it's already here and the world is changing everything. What's your thought and what do you think is the best application of it into marketing?
Yeah, I was talking about this in a big event last week
Uh-huh.
in London with a bunch of fintech marketeers. I mean, I guess I don't think we're super sophisticated, if I'm
Mm-hmm.
honest.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I think um, my my view on it is it's kind of as good as your product.
Okay. Okay.
And so I think there's huge opportunity to use AI to do product journey optimization and workflow
Mm-hmm.
optimization, but that does require your workflow to be good with lots of data signals
Yeah.
already. So a
Yep.
lot of
Yep.
what, bad in, bad out. So a lot of
Yeah.
what we're
Yeah.
doing is trying to, almost fix our own insights across our workflows and journeys
Right.
to then be able to
Yep.
optimize. We do use it for bidding strategies on LinkedIn and Google. We built our advertising campaign using Midjourney,
Mm-hmm.
and we use we've built a kind of tone of voice generator. So we do a lot of content optimization through AI, where we'll take a story that's in the news and then allow the
Mm-hmm.
AI to rewrite it
Uh-huh.
um, for us. But I think we're still understanding the legal implications
You're right.
of it. We had a recent incident um, with a CRM platform um, where we'd signed a contract 2 years ago,
Uh-huh.
and it was only when we looked at using their AI within that CRM platform that we realized that we'd been gifting them our data, and we were able to opt out, but we hadn't realized. And the other thing, with our advertising campaign, for example, we built it in Midjourney, but um, within that, we effectively don't own the rights to that ad. So someone can come along any time and say, "That's my snake. Those are my spikes.
Right.
Please
Yeah.
give me
Yeah.
$1 million," or whatever it is. So we had to
Right.
recreate our ad in computer graphics in order
Yeah.
to then be able to own it. So I think a lot of what's going on in AI is people think about it as this like super efficient way of getting rid of all the people and um
Yeah.
but actually what we're finding is that the kind of the regulation and all of the work to make AI effective and sustainable is actually as much work as not having used it in the first place. Is that going to make us more
Sure.
efficient in time? Yes, but I think the CFO, might look at marketing and go, get rid of all the marketeers. We could do it this way, and that's not the reality, at least not for now, and I don't think for any time soon.
100%. You need a human intervention in there. It's not one size fit all yet. It's not like the silver bullet that everybody's hoping it to do. That's 100% what I think as well. Um, I think it can definitely scale, as you said, right? It can definitely scale what you're doing. But if you're doing it wrong, it will just scale wrong, right? If you're doing it bad, it's just gonna scale bad, and that's gonna hurt. So, whatever you put in, you can just 100x whatever, right? Now we do use a lot of AI in our videos and content as well. Um, it's a very small helping hand. It can be a good helping hand, that's for sure, but that is not gonna replace the actual human skill set that people have because it's far, it's not here yet, right? But I think few things that it's really good at is inspiration, right? uh, you can get inspired by AI, right? You can go through 100 ideas, in a matter of seconds. I think that just helps you think better and say, you know what, like from my understanding, I went to 100 and I think this is what I like, and let's just put that all together and like create something of my own. So I think that's to
Yeah, I think also there's pockets of expertise, right? So we built our ad using a really young team in
Uh-huh.
Singapore
Uh-huh.
who, two girls, amazing at understanding, I guess, AI manipulation.
Uh-huh.
But we we went to go and seek that skill set,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
um and it's not kind of true that you can go to an agency and they're just going to be able to use it.
Yeah.
And so for us it was exciting to give a young team some work and do something different in a completely different market, because that was their
Hmm.
expertise, that was their passion, that's what they were great
Right.
at.
Yep.
So I think
Yep.
it's also, you have to kind of have a new way of thinking about how you're going to work with people going forward.
100%. I think there's definitely some great talent who can, like, have, because especially the younger generation, right? They were born in this. They were in this when they are growing up. So definitely the understanding that they would have is fabulous, right? I think that's 100% sure. Another question I have is, like, from a format perspective, when it comes to giving value or, teaching the market or, putting out the plan out there and all that, what's your, like, favorite format to go with? Is it video? Is it articles? Is it like events or something else altogether?
Oh, for engaging with your audience.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, obviously, it really depends on the audience, right? So at Habito,
Uh-huh.
we use TV,
Uh-huh.
and we only bought a very short number of TV programs.
Uh-huh.
So specifically programs that people were still watching in real life, sat on their sofa in their homes, which isn't
Yeah.
loads of TV programs.
Uh-huh.
But because it's home, we were selling
Mm-hmm.
home, the concept of
Mm-hmm.
home, then reaching
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
at home, sat
What's
with
the
their
best way?
partner or their
Yeah.
kids, felt really important. Those moments still exist. Famously in the UK last week, we had a crazy TV program called The Celebrity Traitors, which got
Mm-hmm.
11 million viewers.
Oh my
So
God, that's a lot.
still, there is still that opportunity.
Right.
For Insignis, for example,
Mm-hmm.
where we're targeting high net worth individuals,
Yeah.
we use magazines, actual
Okay.
physical
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. That's magazines. Yeah.
magazines,
Yeah.
which people put in the UK on their coffee tables, or
Yeah. Yeah.
they get they subscribe to them, they get posted to their house, or they're in a
Right.
business lounge in an airport and they're reading something physical.
Yep.
And then we also use podcasts, because the podcast is the flip of that, right?
Uh-huh.
So it's the, for the slightly younger rich people, they're
Right.
listening to
Right.
their
They're listening to podcasts. Yeah.
information, and they're going on a run, or they're, driving to work in the morning, and they've got their headphones in. So I think it really depends on your audience. I mean, we've talked about content. I have a great hatred of the word content,
Okay. Sure.
because I think in the spirit of your question, you're not making content. You're making a TikTok movie, or you're making a TV
Oh yeah.
ad, or you're
Yep.
making a print ad, or you're making 30 seconds of podcast inspiration. So
Right.
I think content is a useful um
Umbrella term, I believe that's what they
umbrella,
use it for.
but you've got
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
understand, like, where you're putting it, how you're putting it out there, how people are listening or going to engage
Uh,
um with it. So, like, how you create it and where you put it, that those two things are, like,
yeah.
intrinsically linked. You don't put your TV ad on YouTube, right? Because
Not gonna work.
it's not gonna work.
Not gonna work. Yeah. 100%. I mean, I think you're right about that. What's your favorite mode of doing content then?
What do I consume?
No, not consume, but what do you, from a marketing perspective, what sort of like your favorite format, and say, you know what, this is, I think, works the best. I mean, podcast is one of them that you just mentioned, right?
Yeah, I guess I'm, and I should be, as a marketeer. I'm completely I'm completely unbiased, actually.
Uh-huh. Oh, nice.
Um, I like the process of making an ad,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
however that ad manifests itself. So, as I
Okay.
said, we physically made our chair at Insignis.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, at Habito, I used animation,
Uh-huh.
um, which was super fun,
Uh-huh.
scary,
Uh-huh. Yeah,
um,
yeah.
because of, you kind of giving someone a week's worth of work and they come back with it animated and you don't know whether you're going to like it,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
or not. Um, but yeah, I mean, I've made some some of the most famous TV ads in the UK. I've been lucky enough to make over my career. But yeah, I love the craft of it. And I think that's really
Uh-huh.
interesting. Like when you go and make an ad and you suddenly realize you've got like three lighting directors and someone whose job is 100% to retouch and, you know, the whole creative craft,
Uh-huh.
I think, is completely amazing. And back to AI. You can, I mean, bad AI ads, you can see a mile off,
Oh my
right?
God, yeah, 100%. They're everywhere right now.
Whereas actually the craft, and it goes into like making movies and making TV shows and, making music, the craft that goes into that is incredible. And I think being able to be close to that craft is really, really exciting.
100%. I mean, there is this new TV series that someone created here in India based on a mythological story, and they created it all with AI. Like the whole production is AI, right? Obviously, it took way less money than and actually like creating, and also way less time that it would have created to actually make a live action movie or something or a series, but it sucks. You can tell it's AI, like from miles ahead. The thing is, we are not their audience. Their audience are, you know, I think way older folks who are not, who don't understand AI as much, or who don't understand that, hey, this is not real, or they don't understand about craft. They just know there's a story that they're depicting, and it's a cartoon, right? It's an animation, and it's just I'm just getting to relive the story again. I think that's where the audience that they have lies. But yeah, I mean, there is miles to go when it comes to AI. But yeah, I mean, coming back to marketing and all of that stuff. What do you think is like one thing that marketers aren't preparing for and they should?
Wow, that's the $1 million question. I guess,
Yeah.
and I don't know what I don't, forgive me, I don't know what it's like in India, but certainly
Hmm.
here in the
Hmm.
UK
Hmm.
and in the US, everyone's going back to work physically.
Hmm. Hmm.
So even I was looking at engineering statistics in the UK
Uh-huh.
and recruitment statistics,
Uh-huh.
and in the UK and the US, and the expectation is that you're going to now be in the office between 4 and 5 days a week.
All right.
So I think the kind of the most underrated marketing channel right now is human
Hmm.
experience. And the
Right.
more we go back to work, um, and the more we re-enjoy the human engagement we have with our work
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
colleagues,
Yeah.
that physical stuff is going to be more important than ever. So Monzo, great example of a big digital bank aimed at young people in the UK and the US. One of their most powerful marketing channels is direct mail, stuff actually being sent through your
Physically.
letterbox.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think we're going to have a little bit of a kind of renaissance of physicality, human experience,
Hmm.
real
Hmm.
things.
Hmm. Hmm.
And um I think probably too many marketeers are relying right now on sort of digital transmission
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
of things. Whereas I think some of the most powerful marketing campaigns will be real. And I guess you've got brands like Red Bull who really
Right.
understand
Yeah, yeah.
this stuff, the power of experience, the power of something that you physically get involved in. And I think that's the most kind of underrated channel right now in marketing.
I think you're spot on. I mean, I really hope that happens because I'm a fan of physical experience as well. I think the working from home thing is still going on in India. I think it's going to take some time when people would want to go back to the office and all of that. It could be because of poor infrastructure, to be very honest. They don't want to get out because the infrastructure isn't like supporting, going to office in crowded cities and all that. I think apart from that, people will take a little more time to like go back to the office. But I mean, I just hope that happens soon, right? I'm a big fan of it. I think when a lot of people come under the same roof, great thing happens, right? Great thing happens. So that's what I think. But yeah, now you said you guys are doing podcast as well. I'm very interested in that because I'm that guy. So are you guys like doing podcast on your YouTube channel? You what is it?
We just sponsor podcasts, to be honest with you.
Oh,
We would not be skilled enough doing them ourselves. I said I've got the experience from Circa of doing a podcast that no one listened
uh-huh.
to. So we buy into other people's production values, and there's some big brands in the UK like the Times, the Financial Times, the Economist, who do podcasts absolutely brilliantly. So we sponsor them rather than create them
Oh, interesting.
ourselves. Yes, just because I think, as you said before about your webinar, there's a tendency to slip into talking about yourself, and I
A
think when
hundred
you look
percent.
at it out there, and Stephen Bartlett, I don't know if you listen to Diary of a CEO.
Yep. I did see.
And when you're up against that, not only does he have a brilliant way of, you know, talking to people. I mean,
Uh
it's a
huh.
real skill, but he's
Uh
also
huh.
got this incredible black book. And I think
Yeah. The
for us,
network of great people.
if you're gonna do it, it needs to be world class. And we're not there yet. So we borrow other people's credentials, basically.
Interesting. Any podcast that I might know that you guys are sponsoring right now?
As I said, we sponsor the FT, who do a morning podcast every morning. So rundown of business news. We sponsor the FT, so the Economist who do it as well. The Times, which is a newspaper brand in the UK. And there's a business called Tortoise, which I think is one of the best media businesses to have launched in the last 5 years. And they almost take podcast as their primary communication, and they do deep dives into news stories. So we tend to kind of sponsor those types of podcasts, the kind of things that you would listen to in the morning to kind of
Yeah.
set up your day.
Yeah. I'm assuming most of these are like audio podcasts.
Most are audio, yes, and we definitely see that with our customer base, that
Uh-huh.
they're going on a run, they're walking the dog, they're playing
Yeah.
golf, or they're
Uh-huh.
doing something else
Yeah.
alongside
Well,
listening to their
mm,
podcast, rather than it being the
like a
primary channel.
physical video. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just on the it's just going on a background while you have like working out or like going for a run or something like that. Interesting. Okay, cool. I mean, I think we're towards the end of the session that we conducting. I think that's been more than an hour, and I don't think I realized it has been more than an hour now. But before we go to closing remarks, anything that you might want to put out as a one liner or a crazy message of for the future marketers that might be listening to this.
Oh well, that's really put me on the spot. Um, I mean, I think, be brave, talk to customers, and don't listen to all the noise. Would um, be my advice. My other piece of advice is own your numbers. Don't let the business of creativity get in the way of you being, a future board member. So if you've got, no one has 11,000 subscribers, right? You've got
Mhm.
11,326. That, as long as you know that specific number, you're going to
Mhm.
become more believable as a marketing person. So
Right.
own your numbers,
Yeah. Yeah.
revise your spreadsheet, go into your meetings. Don't be, you know, ready prepped. Don't let marketing be the business of colouring in. Here comes the marketing team with the pretty pictures. No, here comes the marketing team with a really strong view of the outside world, great customer insight, a proper thought through business plan, and a kick ass creative idea. You do all of those things, and you're going to be incredibly successful.
Crazy. I took a few points from that as well. Definitely gonna work on that. From if further listeners that are probably listening, how where can they connect with you or Insignis if they want?
Yeah, best to get me on LinkedIn. So I'm Abba Newbery on LinkedIn. Abba like the pop group. The benefits of having a slightly strange um name. So I'm on LinkedIn. I don't use any other social media
Uh-huh.
platforms.
Uh-huh. Cool. I mean, I'll put that on whenever this goes out. It'll be in the description box. I'll just put it out for people to, directly connect with you. But it was a great session. Thank you so
Oh
much
well,
for
thank you
taking the
so
time,
much. Really
Abba.
good to chat.
I,
Sorry, it's very UK centric, but
huh?
hopefully I've given enough context to some of those UK examples.
100%. I think the podcast that we have is pretty global. We have listeners from all around the world. So I think that just definitely gonna help a lot of people. Thank you so much for taking the time, and it was a wonderful conversation. I really enjoyed it. I hope you liked it as well.
No, I enjoyed it
Uh,
too. Thank you so much. I normally get bored,
Perfect.
but we've been chatting for like over an hour, and
Oh yeah.
I'm very energized now.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you so much for taking the time, Abba. We'll everybody who's listening, we'll see you on the next one.
Magic. Thank you
Thanks.
so much.